今日はですね、これからこのドメーヌとタイオールのセミナーを開催いたします。いろんな彼の作るキュベについて、彼のワイナリーの哲学についてお話をいたしますので、ぜひ楽しんでいただきたいと思います。どうぞ。
I'm Jean-Philippe Blot from Domaine de la Taille aux Loups in Montlouis-sur-Loire, mainly in Vouvray, and Domaine de la Butte in Bourgueil. So that's what I said. I'm happy to be in Japan finally, because I think the French and Japanese culture are very close, and as I think a lot of French people, we dream about Japan to come one day here. And I think our wines and the culture here are very close. But until vintage 22, unfortunately, we didn't have enough wine to introduce a new country. But hopefully, 22 was a generous vintage, and we can introduce a few bottles in Japan. That's why I'm here today, and I'm happy.
では本日はですね、こちらドメーヌ・ド・タイオールから、ジャン・フィリップ・ブロンさんです。ではよろしくお願いします。
Konnichiwa, everybody. I'm Jean-Philippe Blot from Domaine de la Taille aux Loups. First of all, I just want to say I'm very happy to be in Japan with you. Thank you for coming, because it's in France. Maybe you know it's a country we like a lot, and we had the pleasure, because we used to sell our wine more in France, in Europe, and in 22 we have had more wine, so it was the occasion to introduce the Japan market. So I'm happy to be here for that. Maybe before testing and discussing about the wine we will test, I will introduce in a few words our family story, and maybe the place, the terroir, and something. The story is almost 40 years old story. When my parents arrived in Loire Valley, it was in '88. Modest family. They were not used to have wine to test, except thanks to my uncle. My uncle was a pastry maker in Paris, and he has the opportunity to test wine, and to test wine with my father, his brother. So he very soon appreciated the terroir, the story of terroir, what you had and you still have in Burgundy at the end of the 80s, thanks to Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And he introduced that with Chenin in Loire Valley in '88. So at the end of the 80s, he bought 5 hectares of Chenin Blanc, and he quickly isolates the different terroirs, thinking very early, maybe a little bit too early, that Chenin has this ability to give the test where it's growing. So he and we developed a different terroir in Montlouis-sur-Loire, in Vouvray, and later in Bourgueil. Maybe we can show the map.
This one?
Yes. So we are almost in the middle of the Loire, of the river, between Muscadet and Sancerre and tout. And Montlouis is on the right bank of Le Cher, and Vouvray the right bank of La Loire. So because sometimes we can think Vouvray is like this, Montlouis is like this. Both of the appellations are with Chenin Blanc, facing south, but with 2 different rivers. The Domaine de la Taille aux Loups took his name from one of the first parcels we had in Montlouis. The name was La Taille du Loup. And we have, you see Montlouis-sur-Loire here in front, and we have Vouvray, 70 kilometers west from here. And both of those 3 appellations are on the same mother rock, the limestone, from Paris. It's a big geologic area from the south of England, Sussex, Kent, Paris, until Saumur. It's in Loire Valley. You have two different kind of Chenin Blanc. If it's general, you have the Chenin Blanc from the limestone. Here it's the limestone, and after Saumur in Anjou, Savenière, it's from schist. You can see the different terroirs. So at the early 90s, he was creating terroir cuvée wine, organic culture, and aging barrel vinification. At the beginning, we talk about this, it was very difficult. Everybody thought my father is crazy to imagine those kind of wine in Loire Valley. But my father came from Brittany, the west part of France, and in Brittany, people, when they have an idea, they still take their idea. In the vineyard, simple thing, short pruning at the beginning. We are in the beginning of 90s. So short pruning to have less fruit, more concentrate, totally organic everywhere. And the idea until maybe 05, 06. So between the beginning and 2005, 06, in the vineyard is to be able to have a ripe fruit. Because weather is quite cold in this place, and the difficulty is just to have ripe fruit. So all in the vineyard, short pruning, we put out the leaves and we make all the way to have ripe fruit. Difficulty if you want ripe fruit at this time, and if you test old Chenin, it's often with a residual sugar, because the maturity was sometimes just, and winemakers, to make the wine not too sharp, used to leave residual sugar in the wine to make them rounder. The price to have a ripe fruit is that a part of your fruit will get rotten. So as the beginning, we had sorting tables in the row, because during the harvest, we have to select the grapes. When during the 90s, if you wait to be ripe, you have to throw sometimes 1/3, sometimes 1/4 of the crop. After, so we bring our barquette in our caves. It's a gravity cave, so we throw our grapes. We have pneumatic pressure, so it's membrane pneumatic pressure to crush the grapes. Then the sediment vats to sediment for 24 hours. And then we put the wine in barrel for 1 year. So that's thing. Chenin, I think with global warming today, it's an incredible variety. And it's incredible because of the terroir, many things, but also because we can produce different kind of wine, all the kind of wines with one grape. I mean sparkling, single vineyard, dry white wines, and sometimes we also produce sweet wines. The first wine you have it's a sparkling. Today the most famous, I think, we produced, because it was a good idea, I think, but early. The idea of my father in 93, first vintage, was to create a sparkling wine without any add of sugar. I'm sure you know the méthode champenoise. Yes. So, and you know the méthode champenoise. During the harvest, if you test the grapes, berries are not ripe. So they harvest around 10, maybe 11 now because of the global warming. They increase the degree by adding sugar. First time it's the chaptalisation, it's authorized, no problem. Then they have a first fermentation in champagne, and to obtain the sparkling, they add the liqueur de tirage. It's usually 24 grams per liter. To obtain the second fermentation in bottle, and at the end, after they turn the bottle upside down to bring the dead yeast in the neck, when they disgorge, they complete the bottle by one and more. It's extra brut, so it's around 6 grams. Just to finish to explain triple zero, those 3 times in method traditionnelle or champagne, people add sugar. We don't. We harvest ripe. That means we harvest around 12.5 degrees of alcohol. Fermentation begins within the juice yeast in cold caves. Before the end of the fermentation, when we still have between half point and 1 point of alcohol to ferment, we transfer the wine into the bottle. That means we have only one fermentation. And the first fermentation finished in the bottle thanks to the natural sugar. And when we disgorge, we complete with wine, no liqueur d'expédition. Triple zero, zéro chaptalisation, zéro liqueur de tirage, zéro liqueur d'expédition. First year they have done this wine. The name was Pétillant Naturel Non Dosé. And I remember my father said at the beginning, nobody wants to drink this, and we have to drink the whole production with your mother. Because it was too dry, it was not trendy at all. And I think to be able to not add sugar, we have to find the sensation of sugar without the sugar. It's not just a question of no adding sugar. That means we worked about this sensation of sugar, because if you taste, you see it's not strict. It's quite round. So it's because of the ripeness. We select the juice also after the pneumatic pressure, so we just keep the heart of the juice. Slow fermentation is important. Our caves are 12 degrees Celsius, so it makes very slow fermentation. And we disgorge after 3 years only, between 2 and 3 years. We transfer the wine in the bottle when we have 12 grams. So 4 grams make 1 atmosphere, it's 3 atmosphere. It's low pressure. The idea here is more a wine with bubble than a sparkling. I mean, the bubble helps for the energy, for the verticality in the wine, more than a champagne. It's a 6 atmosphere, so around 5-6.
では続きまして2番目のルミュスについてご説明いたします。
So after the triple zero, just to say what we have another sparkling wine, which is a method traditionnelle. It's done as a champagne with the same method. And we also are working on a vintage version of the triple zero since '96. Yes, the idea is to have a triple zero with 10-12 years only before disgorgement. So now you have 3 different dry white wines. Remus, the first one. Remus is our entry level one. It's the only one which is a blend from our vineyards. That means it's made on our vines, but it's a blend. Because you have 23, 23, 23. So you have 3 different dry white wine, same vintage. And the idea was to make the terroir appear, we have to have the same winemaking in all our wines. So contrary to a lot of Burgundy, where you have Burgundy Village, it's 1 year, Puligny, it's 18 months, and Bâtard, it's 24. Here, it's 1 year for all of our wines in the same aged barrels. At the end, are totally dry. That's another thing, because the Chenin can be with 4, 5, 6 grams. We want them totally finished, so it's less than 2 grams. So Remus 23, it's a blend. It represents Montluis-sur-Loire. So it's limestone with part of silex, clay, and sand. We have a mix. For sure, the winemaking impact the wine, I think, for every winemaker. But we want that if we have an impact on our vision of the terroir, it's as less as possible, and with the same impact on our different wine to feel the terroir. I mean, often we were talking about the reduction in white wine. or for the reds, the stem, this stem, and how sometimes your winemaking can impact your wine in the good way, it's a good sensitive way, but not for your terroir. Because the barrel, at the beginning, 35 years ago, it was a lot of new barrel because we didn't want to buy aged barrel and bring in our cave yeasts from other places or bacteria from other places. You know, when we put our wine in caves, we don't add anything, it's the ecosystem that works. So we bought them new. At the beginning, a lot of new work. And now, for the dry white wines, it's 1/6 new barrel, 1/6 1 year old, 1/6 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And from 6 years old to 12 years old, we use them for the sparkling. Three different coopers and lightly burn the barrel. The barrel with 3 different coopers, Damy, Cadus, Chassin, you know, and slow burn in the barrel. I mean, you know, when you burn inside the wood, inside the barrel, you burn the wood. Yes, maybe I can talk in the same time about the vintage 23, because at the beginning I said that we used to have a viticulture in the way to have a ripe fruit at the end, because it was difficult to have ripe fruit. Today it's the contrary, of course. Since 05, 06, we have, because of the global warming, grapes that could be, I think, overripe. And I think it's another aspect of the terroir. If you have underripe fruit or overripe fruit, I think your wine will test the ripeness and not the terroir. Wow. So we saw that in 06. In 06, during the harvest, we were, as usual, with 40 harvesters. The middle of September, and it took 3 weeks to harvest the whole single vineyard. But what happened is that when we began the harvest, you know, it's because of the picking we have done before to be sure of the good ripeness. So the beginning of the harvest, the ripeness is okay, the balance is good. But with only 40 people, the time we took to harvest the first single vineyard, the second one continued to ripe because it was September and not October, so the ripeness go fast. And at the end, our wine are a little bit overripe for our taste. So since this vintage, we changed a lot of things. We changed the quantity of grapes because it was too low. So if you have 8 grapes on your vines instead of 10 or 12, the ripeness comes earlier, of course, because it's less grapes for the same nutriments. We leave the leaves in the vines to hide from the sun. It makes sense, but it's difficult when you are used to do the contrary. And maybe the most important is the quantity of harvester we are, because now we have a window to harvest. And the first subject was 23. 23 was very hot. And in 1 week, you can increase 2 degrees of alcohol. So that's why we had to adapt. And in 09, we saw the ripe vintage. We were 40 people the first week, 80 people the second week, and 120 people the third week to go faster. So 323, I talk about Rémus, and you have donc Clos Miché and Clos de Mony. Clos Miché, the specificity, it's a warm climate, south facing with a layer of sand for Clos Miché. And Clos de Mony, it's our biggest clos. We have 12 hectares, totally walled. It's the biggest clos in the Loire Valley. And at this place we have a lot of silex. So you have 2 very different kind of terroir here, between Clos Miché and Clos de Mony. 2023 was challenging because of that, because of the global warming. And another challenge for us, so despite the fact that global warming, I think, helped the Chenin Blanc. Chenin Blanc was underripe, now it's ripe. His acidity was the problem. I think now it's the solution to have balance in the wine. So this is quite easy now. The problem we have is that the vines begin to grow earlier than before. That gives us problem of spring frost, because usually during the April frost, the buds were not out. Now with the global warming, it's out. So now we have a frozen vintage every 3 years instead of 15 years or 20th century. So we had to invest, and we protect now the vineyards. We have big fans to protect. So you know the big fans, it helps us to, during the night, during the frost, to bring the warmer air down. We also have candles, of course, the candles in the vineyard to warm up. So thanks to that, we can have we can preserve a part of the vineyard. Not everything, but it helps. But I think mainly the global warming helped some varieties as Chenin, as Aligoté, as Gros Plan, which were not ripe before, and today that give balance and energy, and it's not too bad for Chenin, I think. We don't have enough wine. We buy terroir or we buy wine, and we prefer buy terroir. And you know, we still have this opportunity to find very nice terroir in our place. So if we can buy terroir, this notion of terroir, I think we have, but it's still not very clear in Loire Valley. So it gives us opportunity. Taille is the pruning. And one of the first parcels, Taille du Loups, I think because people saw wolves before in the vine at this place, special place. So you have had Remus, our village, Clos-Miché, our warmest climate, Clos de Mony, which is warm because it's facing south, but you have silex that usually give you like a stone sensation and toasted bread sensation. And we have also other different single vineyard like Eau de Husso with a lot of limestone. And we have two vineyards in Vouvray also, Clos de Venise and Clos de la Bretonnière. So it's a mosaic of terroir, and there are many more, I think, to discover in Montlouis and Vouvray, both.
さあ最後は甘口のシュナンブランのこれまでの側面とはまた異なるもの、その2020年を今お継ぎしております。
We just produce this kind of wine when we can. I mean, even if it's ripe, here you need to be very ripe. And to be very ripe, it's not often, in fact, because we need end of September and October with sun, with a little bit fog, but sun. And some year, if you wait, you can lose a part of the grapes, of course, because if it's raining, it's a game. When we finish the dry and the sparkling, we leave one parcel, two parcels, specific parcel, because the weather said, okay, it will be a great weather, so we can wait. And we come back 2 weeks later, and if it's sunny, you could have this kind of grapes. And the game with this kind of grapes is to separate the juicy berry from the other one. So during the harvest, we are around the sorting tables, we have different baskets to put the berries, depend on their concentration of sugar. The first level of sweet wines we produce, the name is Moelleux. It's 50 grams of residual sugar. This one, Cuvée des Loups, is the second step and it's 100 grams of residual sugar. I think with the Chenin, again, and limestone, you can have a high quantity of sugar, but because your level of acidity is high, you don't feel the sugar at the level it is really. And we have another step, the name is Romulus, we don't have here, but Romulus, it's 170 grams of residual sugar. And one time in 2003, the first big wave, big heat wave in France, we have done a selection very hard, and we have had almost 30 degrees potential alcohol wine, 30, and at the end it was 9.5 degrees of alcohol and 350 grams of residual sugar. Just one time. Usually, after the harvesting the dry white wines, we can live between 2 and 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
But it depends what we have done, because we go further times at the same place, and usually is to pick the grapes with bad rots. The idea is to leave good grapes, because if you leave rots, the rots go everywhere, to continue to mature. So it depends. Sometimes it's three weeks. Sometimes you can have a mix in a grape with dry and sweet, so you have to separate. But this kind of wine, if it's possible to do one vintage, it's done much earlier than it was. I was talking with the Chateau Yquem team. Even them, they used to harvest because of the fog, but now harvest is finished in the autumn, so it's before. Alors, about the sulfate, we try to avoid totally or almost sulfite by decreasing the quantity as soon as we could. I mean, the harvest for white wine, more than 3/4 is small barquette, 10 kilograms. It's to limit the maceration and the sulfite in the vines. Yes, yes. One stage we didn't succeed to not add. It's before the bottling, and totally it's 50 milligrams. And personally, I think it's not a good idea to be extreme by not adding anything. Because I said extreme, because if you do that, I think you can turn your wine, and 50 milligrams, in fact, it's almost nothing. People have much more in their food every day than this small quantity. We try to be as natural as possible if the wine can stay wine, with terroir appreciation.
それでは、そろそろお時間になりましたので、この辺りで、締めさせていただきたいと思います。
Thanks to that, I'm here with you in Tokyo. So thank you, arigato.
それでは皆様、1時間の間、ご清聴いただきましてどうもありがとうございました。今回のワインの時間 by Cépages いかがでしたでしょうか。もしよろしければ、チャンネル登録と高評価お願いします。今日紹介したワインは、Cépagesオンラインで、販売をしております。よかったら、概要欄に、詳しいこと書いておりますので、そちらからショップの方を覗いてみてください。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。サンテー。